A recent report by SBM Intelligence highlights shocking inflation rates, with items like curry increasing by a staggering 177%, sanitary pads by 143%, and even staple foods like noodles and rice seeing price jumps of over 80%. But what is driving this inflation, and what can be done about it?
Stanley Ikechukwu, who is the head of operations at SBM Intelligence, he joins us now to help us make sense of this cost of living crisis we have all found ourselves.
Yeah, it sounds like a good movie, the price of everything, except that it's hurting our pockets.
Oh yes, indeed. How will they survive, the people of this occupants in this small town, as they deal with the rising cost of living crisis? Grab your copy now. Sorry, APC.
Back to regular programming.
I mean, your report paints a bleak picture of inflation in Nigeria. In spite of the rebasing, of the stats, of our economy, it has now reduced the inflation somewhat around below, 10 points, 10 points thereabout. But it's still the same. So what are the factors? What are the contributing factors that are seeing to this hike? And is a rebasing sort of affected with this study?
Okay, so we should first understand that the inflation issue in Nigeria is very complex. The rebasing that happened and somehow minus 10% drop from the original, inflation rates, but there are no effects to that in the everyday lives of Nigerians.
Right.
So that is one on the other side. But most of the effects, most of the problems affecting inflation are around. First of all, you look at supply chain. Around agriculture, there's been flooding, and when there's this kind of flooding, harvests are usually low. So there will be low supply chain, there will be low agricultural supply in the market. You also would agree with me that there was a removal of fuel subsidy, which affected the distribution and logistics of goods and services from state to state and all of those things. So those things actually have effect on inflation. We also look at the monetary policy part of it, where CBN has been adjusting the MPR from time to time, on how people can borrow. That also has its own effects, but that alone cannot curb inflation.
Right.
There are also security challenges around, our major part that produces food, that's the Northwest and the North Central. The insecurity situation there has been lingering for a very long time. Until we're able to put all of these things together and fix them, I don't think we'd really see the real effects of changes in inflation on the everyday lives of Nigerians.
It's very strange. No matter how much they rebase, or food isn't coming down. Maybe noodles might come down, and that will be announced, and they were like, "Yay!" But that's all that ever happens. Before you know it, it goes back up. Now, that's not the main thing. Now, regarding food itself, is there the possibility that in the nearest future it'll come down, as against the Nigerian balance where anything that goes up in Nigeria never comes back down? Will it happen at all?
Well, we're actually very hopeful, and we're
I don't want hope. I need facts.
I don't think there's I can't give you a concrete evidence to say that food prices are going to come down with the way this administration has been managing the situation. We've been less productive as a nation. Food input has been on a low. Gradually, it's falling below. The transportation effect is also there. Fuel subsidy. Even though we've seen a reduction in fuel price to about 850 naira per litre, which is actually a good thing, but we're not seeing the changes in cost of transportation.
Okay, let me ask that question again. Compared to other years, how bad is it, the current inflation we're witnessing when it comes to food? How bad?
Okay, so food inflation is like the major cause of general inflation in Nigeria. So if you look at, say, in the last 25 years of this uninterrupted democratic dispensation, we would say that under this administration, we've seen the highest of it to about 34.80% inflationary rate.
Coming from, and we're measuring with what year, perhaps, maybe?
So even if we look back, let's go back to, say, 1999, there, when Obasanjo took office. The inflation rate then was around 6%, rather, And let's also look at 2007 when Obasanjo left office. The inflation rate there was about 5.39%. And the 2 years of the Yar'Adua's administration saw inflation move up to about 12.54%. You know, after Yar'Adua, let's look at the Jonathan administration that brought down inflation to about 8.05%, which is, you know, an improvement. And in 2014,
That's no good there. Stop. I'm joking.
I mean, when we handed over, or rather when the Buhari's administration took office, and I must say it's been the most, you know, the most ineffective government,
Wow.
if you have to compare. And when he was leaving office, as of May of 2023, the inflation rate was around 22.61% or thereabout. By the end of 2023, it moved up to about 24.66%. You know, then if you look at this administration, the price of things have steadily